Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Saturday, June 11th, and we are here talking to a very special guest today because it is Pride Month, and I am out and proud. I am not just your favorite personal finance, CBS News business analyst. I may also be your favorite, perhaps your only LGBTQ member of a community who also hosts a podcast and talks about your financial life. There are other LGBTQ people hosting podcasts, of course, but I don't know. They're probably not answering your financial questions, are they, Mark? Yeah, there could be there's maybe some folks who listen to Kara Swisher, and she's great. She has those two podcasts. One is the New York Times podcast, Sway, and the other one she co-hosts with Scott Galloway, which is called Pivot. I like that one. Do you listen to that, Mark, or not? No, it's good. I think you'd like it. Anyway, today, we have the beginning of a two-part interview with my friend Glennda Testone. Glennda is the executive director of the LGBTQ Center here in New York City. And in the first part of the interview, we're just going to talk a little bit about the center, what it does. This is part of our Pride Month celebration. And we might have another guest or two to do something during Pride Month because, I am an out and proud gal. So let's try to do it. So here's part one of our interview with Glennda Testone. Important disclosure, Mark, I like to dot my I's and cross my T's. I am on the board of the LGBTQ Center. Mark, would it surprise you to learn that they quickly made me become the treasurer? I don't know if that was why, but it was within minutes that all of a sudden I get a phone call from our interviewee, Glennda, who's like, listen, I haven't asked of you. Anyway, Glennda, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Jill. It's awesome to be here.
I also feel a little bit like poor Glennda hears me as being a very major league naysayer doubter when I'm on board meetings. And I'm like, how are we going to do that? And what's plan B? And so, Mark, how I am the, sometimes I'm Jill the Dream Crusher. I play that role often on nonprofit boards as well. So Glennda, okay, let's start in with this. So first of all, it's Pride Month. And you are running an LGBTQ center in New York City. And I think a lot of people who listen to our program all over the country, all over the world, must be thinking geez, why do they need that in New York City? So why does the center exist? Why don't you do a little history and why does it exist today?
Sure. So the center was founded in 1983 in the height of the AIDS crisis and was really created because New York's LGBTQ community didn't have a place other than the bars to gather and to really organize and activate and start programs and deliver services. And so the center became that hub. And we have been doing that ever since for the last almost 40 years, providing community support, connection for folks who are LGBTQ and allies. And folks should come on down if they're in the area. It's an amazing place.
Well, let me ask you this, though. So I understand a community center starting almost 40 years ago. Why does it need to exist today? I mean, especially in a place like New York City where gay people have pretty much, the run of the city, let's just say. Why does it need to exist?
I like that rumor. Gay people are running the city. So the needs have changed over the years, but they are still there. So I would say, especially, 2 years ago when the pandemic started, we were already delivering mental health services and substance abuse services. And services for LGBT young people who are coming out and coming into their own. And the pandemic just exacerbated that. People felt really isolated, hard time connecting with each other. Everybody struggled. And so we really saw a sharp spike in our community around their needs in terms of connection and mental health concerns. And we were able to bring those services online virtually really quickly and saw huge demand, and we're able to meet that demand. So there are certainly still things that our community needs. And I would say most of all, we need each other. Yeah, you can go to a therapist, and if you have the resources to do that, not everybody does. But there's something different about a group therapy in an LGBT setting, or seeing an art exhibit with your peers that's about Black lesbians or something. So the community aspect is always needed.
So in addition to the physical location in the village, you have a lot of online services. Are those continuing in this, whatever this is? I don't know. Let's just call it year 3 of COVID. Is that continuing?
Year 3, they are, because we found that we have been able to reach people that aren't able to come to the center. So people that live in the city or the tri-state area who, for whatever reason, cannot actually get to the physical location, but they're able to access the virtual services, and we don't want to cut them off. We want to still offer those opportunities while also ramping up the in-person opportunities for folks to come and do those things at the center in the physical building as well.
What if someone's listening and there's no community center for them and they're in Oklahoma? Can they come and use the services as well?
There are certainly some of the services that they can use. Our website, it's gaycenter.org, is a wealth of resources, information, videos, links, all kinds of things. I will also mention I am on the board myself of an organization called Centerlink. And Centerlink is the organization, the membership organization of all the LGBT centers across the country. And there is at least one center in the state of Oklahoma, in Tulsa, I believe. There may be more, but there are more centers than folks might think. There are actually 250 plus across the United States and across the world. So lots of centers and growing.
Why one big one of the pillars on the website is career services.
Yes.
Now, why do you think that's important for the community that you have listen, it's a hot job market right now, but why have these kinds of services that are specifically tailored for LGBTQ people?
That's such a great question, and I appreciate the opportunity to say this. I think a lot of people hear LGBT or they hear gay folks and they think of a really wealthy gay white man. And the reality is, economically, our community, if you look at the majority of our community, lesbians, people of color, trans, gender expansive folks, they are not wealthy. They are struggling. They are struggling with poverty. They are struggling to get and maintain a job. And they're struggling with discrimination, and really having a challenge trying to create a sustainable livelihood for themselves. So that we realized pretty quickly was something we needed to help support our community on, that people really needed help kind of figuring out how to come out at work, how to transition at work, how to become the person they want to be before they even go into the workplace. So we do a lot of work from youth on up, helping people figure out who they want to be professionally and what does that look like and what's available to them, and really helping support them through that process. Because overall, though it is New York City and in some ways things are getting better, there's still a challenge there. There's still really a lot of bias and discrimination that folks face when they are trying to make money to support themselves and their families. And the LGBT community is not wealthier than other communities. So we really do need that support.
Although if you are a rich, white, gay man, of course, Glennda would be happy to accept all donations. So don't hesitate. Glennda, I was just out with friends of ours in New York City, and my friend Anne is on the board of Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, or PFLAG. So what kind of resources does the center work with an organization like PFLAG and refer out? Let's say that someone's listening to this and they're like, well, I'm not gay, but I think maybe my kid is, or I'm worried, or I don't know what to do with it. What's the best step for someone who's in that position usually?
So the great thing about the center is that we work with everyone. We don't provide everything, but we wind up sort of being the 311 for the LGBT community in New York City. So I get emails all the time from parents who are like, I think my kid or my kid's friend is non-binary and using they, them. What does that mean? How could, help me understand. So we work with a lot of organizations that provide specific services and provide a lot of services ourselves. So we have services for young people that are going through that, but also for parents who are trying to figure out how to support their kid who may be queer, trans, non-binary, any number of different things in our community. So we have counselors and resources and workshops and things that we do to really try and equip people to understand our community as it evolves. And then we work with a lot of different partners to supplement all that work.
Okay, that was part one of our interview with Glennda Testone of the LGBTQ Center of New York City. Tomorrow we'll have part two. If you've got financial questions, of course we are here for you. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click Contact Us, fill out the form, let us know if you'd like to come on the air, and we will arrange everything else. Don't forget, while you're on the website, sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It's free every single Friday. It's such a good way to get into your weekend, kind of recaps everything. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review on Apple and try to lift someone up today. It will make that person feel good, and it will make you feel good. Grit, growth, grace. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.